Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me as we take a look at your work week forecast for December 1st through the 5th. And as December has arrived with the first day of December, that is the first day of meteorological winter, which runs from December 1st through March 1st. And it's going to feel like winter this weekend. It's going to look like winter. It already kind of looks like winter out there, but it's really going to look like winter with some snow that we are going to get tomorrow. So that's going to be the main focus here, but it's going to be a wintry week the rest of the week too, with cold temperatures for this time of year. And yeah, going to feel like winter. So let's start off. We're going to start off with an upper level view, and then we're going to kind of dive into the details of the storm. So main thing that's going to dominate our weather really all week and is setting the stage both for the snow and the cold that's come later is a cold dome of air over the basically northern Canada with little pieces of it that are breaking off, and also some southern jet stream energy that is adding in to the overall flow to give us some storms, but also to give us cold temperatures for this time of year. It's not January cold, but it's cold for December. It's going to feel like more average January weather. We're going to really probably not see many 30s this week, a lot of 20s. Today is the warmest day of the week, and temperatures are actually going to be cooling off throughout the day today. You see also, though, we do have some relatively tight gradient here of wind. And so what's going to happen with our storm tomorrow is it is going to be a quick mover. So that's going to be the main thing that keeps us from getting a real big snowstorm out of this. It is going to be a relatively quick mover. And we're going to talk about all the details as we get going. Let's take a look at satellite imagery. What's interesting about this is the storm really isn't even starting to get going. Here's the southern jet stream, which is where the surface low pressure system is going to basically develop. Here is some kind of a northern jet stream energy. There's also some a little bit to the north of that is going to kind of combine and eventually wrap up into a storm that will be developing as it comes over the top of us. But again, the storm hasn't really come together yet, and by this time tomorrow it will be snowing, and I'm recording this about 9 o'clock, and by this time on Wednesday it will have been wrapped up for quite a while. So it's really about a 12-hour event, but steady snow throughout the entire event with light to moderate, or so with moderate snow, maybe at times heavy briefly. But yeah, so basically that's what we're looking at for conditions as we go forward. Let's take a look at this on radar. You can see we are starting to develop some radar echoes. Really, so far, not a ton of moisture yet, but the storm will continue to pick up moisture as it is moist across the southeastern part of the United States. We can see, for us, though, today at least, our weather is still pretty much dominated by the low pressure system that moved through yesterday, and we're kind of on the backside of that with some lake effect flurries that are mostly missing us. I don't think we'll really see any of that today, but the gusty or not gusty, but a little bit of a northwest breeze, which is giving us some cooling temperatures, setting the stage for the snow tomorrow. So let's take a look at the jet stream, and you can see this big dip out west. And again, you can notice that the darker colors mean faster wind speeds, or the warmer colors, I should say, mean faster wind speeds. And you can see that the flow is pretty steady and pretty quick, which is why the storm isn't going to really have a chance to buckle and give us like a long period of snow. That is the thing that's kind of keeping us from having higher snow totals out of the storm, because it is going to snow pretty good when it comes down tomorrow. I would think a lot of times where we're going to be somewhere between half an inch to an inch and a half of snow an hour for about a 12-hour period. So if we take a look further on and take a look at basically the storm track, here's the storm, even this evening, just really getting going across the Gulf Coast. And you can see it's taking a pretty far south route, but we had, as you kind of noticed before, there's this kind of mid-level moisture that's associated with it well to the north of the storm, and that's going to kind of continue, and that's what's going to wrap in our area. However, that does leave, there is still a little bit of uncertainty, basically, with how close the storm gets to us and how much of that, the bulk of that moisture gets to us. So while I'm pretty confident in my totals, or in terms of my snowfall map, which we'll get to at the end, there's still a little bit of wiggle room this afternoon, this evening, to kind of see what might happen. As this storm track is relatively far offshore. The good thing about a storm track like this, it's going to be all snow. I don't see, unless something dramatically changes, I don't see any mixing with sleet or anything like that. It's going to be all snow for all of southern Vermont, actually, basically for a lot of New England, even a lot of Massachusetts. You have to really kind of get down towards Boston before you see any kind of mixing issues or anything like that. And generally, that means for us, when the snow goes that far south from us, that does mean that we don't get huge snow totals out of a storm. And I think that's what, but we are going to get, plowable snow. It'll feel big because it's the first one of the winter. Here is a look at the actual from about 7 p.m. tonight through 1 a.m. Wednesday, short-term model, kind of giving you an idea. Snow starts early tomorrow morning, 6 to 8 a.m. And you can see we get that light to moderate snow, and then it kind of wraps up and slides off. And you can see that rain snow line really stays across a lot of central Mass or a lot of Connecticut and a lot of eastern Massachusetts. So it's not really heading in our direction. We'll take one more look at it here, and you can see it's a slug of about 12 hours. These are hour by hour projections. So it's about a 12-hour storm where it wraps up by early evening tomorrow with that snowfall. So let's take a look at my snowfall forecast for you. It is a south to north kind of storm. So the further north you are, the less snow you get. So way up in northern Rutland County, we're talking just 4 to 6 inches, particularly on the west sides of the greens there. I think a lot of us in southern Vermont see 5 to 8 inches. Elevation won't make a giant difference in this storm. A little bit, obviously, you always get a little bit of elevation enhancement, but elevation will not be the factor in this storm because it's going to be cold, solidly cold enough for everybody to get fluffy snow. It's going to be a fluffy snow. And 6 to 10 inches kind of in southern Windham County, basically, and a little bit of the southern greens in southeastern parts of Bennington County. But basically, I think these are pretty locked in. We could shift the 6 to 10 a little further north or a little further south. Same thing with a 4 to 6. But I think we're kind of in that range. I think everybody sees enough snow to be plowable. But you never know. You could get snow bands, mesoscale snow bands that are hard to predict that always enhance numbers like this. But basically, I'm feeling pretty confident in this forecast. Pretty standard snowstorm to start. So the work. Before we get to the work week highlights, let's start with weekend or the storm details here. Sorry. Precipitation starts between about 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. tomorrow, ends between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Heaviest between noon and 4. All snow with no real chance of any mixing. The snow will be fluffy. More snow in southern areas. In terms of schools, I do think basically all schools will almost certainly be closed tomorrow. We're going to end up with winter storm warnings out of this. Maybe just maybe a few spots in northern counties they only give winter weather advisories, but even there I think probably no school. Certainly most of us basically have no school tomorrow, even though it may not be snowing that much when kids would get on the bus. It's going to soon be starting, and then it's going to be kind of nasty during the day. Travel during the day tomorrow will be tough, so that's just kind of should be getting better, not until later in the evening. Before we get to patrons, sorry about that. Work week details. Winter has arrived, before we get to that, let's actually look at the forecast. Sorry, I'm all out of sorts here. Forecast today, after we started in the mid 30s, we're going to fall throughout the day into the upper 20s. Tomorrow, basically snow all day. After we start in the low 20s, we get to the upper 20s. It's a fluffy snow. Should be good. In terms of travel, it will be as easy as snow can be on travel, although it will be snowing and kind of tough to get around. Wednesday, similar temperature profile, but no snow left over. Thursday, there could be some. I have just a little period of snow there, but basically that's a snow squalls that could move through with a front. So if you're out driving midday on Thursday, the timing on that's not locked in entirely, but somewhere between about noon and 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we could see a period kind of like we saw on Friday where we get a brief burst of snow. I don't think we'll get 2 to 3 inches out of it, but you never know. But it could be heavy enough that it could cause some issues on the roads. Those can be problematic times. Temperatures are a little warmer on Thursday in the low 30s for a lot of us. And then Friday, we're in the deep freeze. Really only one day of real cold. But Friday, wind chills will be in the teens on Friday. And overnight lows Friday and Saturday morning will be down relatively close to zero. A few degrees above, but not quite zero, but cold. Cold for this time of year. In terms of, that's the wrong, we'll keep doing the wrong thing here. Winter weather has arrived at least for this week. Snow Tuesday is the most impactful weather of the week, obviously. Thursday brings snow squalls midday, which could impact travel. Keep an eye on that. Kind of make sure that you're just aware if you're out in the middle of the day on Thursday, you're ready for that. Friday is well below average temperature-wise for this time of year. It does start to warm up even by Saturday. No significant warm-up on the horizon. No more significant storms really on the horizon either. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. There at times has been some hints of a storm, but basically everything right now looks pretty quiet through the weekend. And then beyond that, we'll have to see. And like I said, no real warm ups. So skiing, in terms of getting things going for the mountains, lots of snowmaking opportunities and lots of pretty good weather for skiing and things like that. So really pretty good for this time of year. I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons to help support what I do here at the West River Weather Guy. If you're interested in becoming a patron, you get a weekend forecast, and you can get a long range forecast. There's a description in the link below, or there's a link to my Patreon page, which has a description of what you get for different levels. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel before, I'd encourage you to do so. Helps make sure you don't miss any of my videos. I'll be back tomorrow morning with a quick update on this forecast. It'll be a shorter video tomorrow, just kind of giving you an update if anything has changed, or maybe even this evening if anything changed drastically this middle of the day today, but I don't think that'll happen. So probably tomorrow morning with a quick update on the storm. All right. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for checking me out, and I'll be back real soon with an update on the forecast.